Newsfirst at 9.
A very good evening to you. This is Primetime News at 9, coming to you live on MTV Sports and Shakti TV from our Newsfirst Center here in Colombo. I'm Shahin Jurangpati.
And I'm Nicola D'Souza. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
The headlines on Newsfirst at 9.
Chairman of the Capital Maharaj Organization need not appear before the Mathura Magistrates Court. An order by the Additional Magistrate of Mathura. Phantom train travels from Marudana to Ratmalana. Driver and assistant suspended. Ambalipitiya Pradeshya Sabha budget defeated for the second time. Chairman of the Pradeshya Sabha likely to lose his position. 2 women die after being run over by a bus in Munneshwaram. Another international accolade for Newsfirst.
Newsfirst at 9.
The Mathura Additional Magistrate announced today that Chairman of the Capital Maharaj Organization Limited is not required to appear before the Mathura Magistrates Court on the 11th of this month.
The additional magistrate made this announcement when a motion filed on behalf of the chairman of the Capital Maharaj Organization Limited was taken up for consideration today.
Mathura Additional Magistrate Manjula Karunaratna issued notice on the 25th of last month on the chairman of the Capital Maharaj Organization Limited to appear in court on the 11th of December after considering a petition filed by United National Party parliamentarian Mangala Samaravira. The order was sought under Section 81 of the Criminal Procedure Code Act No. 15 of 1979. A motion filed against this at the Mathura Magistrates Court was taken up for consideration today by Additional Magistrate Manjula Karunaratna. Attorneys appearing on behalf of the chairman of the Capital Maharaj Organization Limited pointed out that the request made by the petitioner under Section 81 of the Criminal Procedure Code does not provide sufficient grounds to issue notice on the respondent.
When this matter was called in Magistrate Court of Mathura, by way of motion, the respondents have given notices to the petitioner and his lawyer, but unfortunately the petitioner or his lawyer were not present in court today. So after considering the fact that the respondents have given notices to the petitioner, judge allowed our application to make submissions on behalf of the respondent. So on behalf of the respondent, Mr. Alsapurasna President Council made submissions before court and stated these notices were issued by way of only the affidavit. In that affidavit, there was mere statement, averments only. There was no material before court. They have not made any complaint to the police. There were no evidence with regard to that. Because of that, it is not proper to issue notices with regard to the respondent under 81 of the Criminal Procedure Code. So, to elaborate that, we have submitted all the photographs where Mangala Samaravira, the complainant, was involved in an unlawful possession where he has admitted in his affidavit, and for that purpose we have submitted photographs also. So Mr. Alsapurasna President Council informed court whether it is illegal to inform the people about the illegal things that were done by the petitioner. So we have submitted our photographs and marked those photographs for the benefit of court. After considering our application, judge reserved the order and issued notices to the petitioner to be present on the next date, that is 11th, but not for the respondent. Whether to issue notices for the respondent to be present on that day will be considered on that day after hearing the other party.
President's Counsel Rienzi Arsakularatna noted that Mangala Samaravira has already been named a suspect in cases filed at the Mathura Magistrates Court, and this was even mentioned in his affidavit. The President's Counsel pointed out that there was no sufficient facts under Section 81 to issue notice on the respondents cited in the petition filed by Mangala Samaravira. Hence, the Council requested court to recall summons and for the case to be dismissed. Taking this into consideration, the Mathura Additional Magistrate stated that after submissions are made by the petitioner on the 11th of this month, a decision on the request made by the respondent will be made. The Additional Magistrate further stated that the chairman of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited was not required to be present in court on the 11th of this month, and that it would be sufficient for attorneys to be present in court on his behalf. President's Counsel Rienzi Arsakularatna appeared with attorneys at law G.G. Arul Pragasam, U.R. De Silva, Vasanta Batagoda, Vishwa De Livera Tendakun, Niranjan Arul Prakasam and Nadi Sarachandra, instructed by attorney at law Ramya Chandra Gunasekara for the respondent in the case.
The General Manager of Railways has appointed a 3-member committee to look into the incident where an engine travelled from the Maligawata railway yard to Ratmalana without being operated by a driver.
General Manager of Railways BAP Aryaratna noted that a great disaster was averted due to the actions taken by responding officials.
The railway control room states that the Y-class railway engine, which was at the Maligawata railway yard, had begun moving at around 1:45 am when its brakes had failed. The Railways Department points out that although train engines are parked at railway yards, the train engines are not shut down. The department notes that the engine in question was over 50 years old and was used to change the carriages of trains. The engine in question had begun moving when both its driver and assistant had stepped out of it. Railway Superintendent L.A.R. Ratnaika says that the engine had entered the main railway line from the railway yard and had proceeded down the coastal railway line to Ratmalana. The engine had reportedly travelled at a speed of around 10 km per hour. The train that had passed railway stations in Maradana, Fort, Slave Island, Kolpiti, Bambalapitiya, Vallavata, Dehivala and Mount Lavinia was stopped by a team from the Colombo Railway running shed in a location between Mount Lavinia and Ratmalana.
මාලිගාවත්තෙන් රේදුරක නොමැතිව ගමන්ගත් දුම්රිය එන්ජිම මෙම මාර්ගය.
The train engine which travelled from Maligawata without a driver was stopped by railway officials at the 96th signal post. The train engine had passed several railway crossings en route to this location. Officials managed to take the engine along this route to the Ratmalana railway yard.
මෙන්න මේ මාර්ගය ඔස්සේ රත්මලානේ පිහිටි ප්‍රධාන යාන්ත්‍රික ඉංජිනේරු අංගණයට රැගෙන ගියා.
When I came out to have a wash, I saw a train engine moving. I don't know who was inside it.
The engine in question is currently parked at the Ratmalana railway yard. The Railways Department says that no damage was caused to either the train engine or the railway track. Meanwhile, a 3-member committee has begun investigations into the actions of the engine driver and his assistant and on how the train moved from its original location. General Manager of Railways BAP Aryaratna notes that the engine driver and his assistant will remain suspended until the conclusion of this inquiry.
There is a severe collapse in the railway services. Legally, either the engine driver or the assistant should remain with the engine at all times. This should not be looked at as an isolated incident. The Railways Department has transformed into one which acts according to the whims and fancies of certain persons. As a result of this, no one acts responsibly. There is a defect in the Y-class engines, where the engines start to move when the engine oil heats up. Various methods are employed to stop these train engines. Special attention should be focused on the Y-class engines as there is a risk of accidents taking place.
Incidentally, shunting engine drivers and assistants staged a protest today at the Demataguda railway yard. The demonstration was called off after talks with the railway officials.
The railway general manager states that the suspension issued to the driver and assistant connected to the incident will be withdrawn if the 3-member committee that was appointed find them not guilty.
Meanwhile, the news of the phantom train was also brought up in Parliament today.
A train engine had travelled almost 15 kilometers. I wish to raise a question on this incident, although there is a question related to agriculture. If you wish to question on the train engine, meet personally and raise it. If you come to our village, you can see the engine. People from Madhugama are watching the proceedings live.
Minister of Transport Kumara Welgama, speaking in Parliament, said that although a special bus service for women was initiated under the Mahinda Chintanaya, some women object to this move.
The minister expressed his view in response to a question raised by UNP MP Sajid Premdas.
It was said that a special bus service will be initiated for women. However, you are saying that this service only operates on 2 bus routes. Shouldn't this service be implemented effectively across the island? Honourable MP, listen to this. Apart from the service between Colombo, Casbava and Colombo Moratuwa, this service in other areas has experienced a setback as there are not enough female passengers. That is true. Some women do not like to travel in a separate bus for women. So, if there are not enough passengers, how can we continue this service? Honourable Speaker, this is the truth. When I was travelling in the train, I asked the women whether they wanted a separate compartment. Some were in favour and some were against.
මම දුම්රිය යනකොට මං අහුවා කාන්තාවන්ගේ වෙනම පෙට්ටියක් දාන්න තියලා. නෑ නෑ අපි ඔක්කොම ඒකට යන්නම්. මේ මට සමහර අය ඉල්ලනවා. ආයේ ඔබතුමා හින්දා වෙන්නේ නැති සමහර වෙලාවට. වෙන්නේ නැති මම ඉතින් උස ලස්සන මිනිහෙක්නේ. ඒකින්ද
On to other local news, 3 persons died and 26 others were injured in motor accidents that were reported from several areas of the island. Among those who lost their lives were 2 women who met with an accident in Chilao. The 2 women were killed when they were run over by a private bus that was plying from Kurunagala to Chilao. The tragedy had taken place at the Muneswaram junction in Chilao. Now, the police say that the 2 women were run over by the bus when they were attempting to cross the road after getting off another bus. One woman was killed on the spot while the other died en route to the Chilao hospital. The police add that the driver of the bus has been arrested and will be produced in court tomorrow.
The budgets of several local government institutions governed by the United People's Freedom Alliance were defeated today as well.
The chairman of the Ambilipitiya Pradesh Sabha, who lost the vote on the budget for a second time, will lose his position as chairman of the Pradesh Sabha.
The 2014 budget of the Ambilipitiya Pradesh Sabha, which is governed by the UPFA, was defeated for a second time today. Chairman of the Ambilipitiya Pradesh Sabha, M.K. Amila, noted that a member of the UPFA had voted against the budget.
අයවේ දෙවලව පරාජයට පත් වෙලා වීමෙන් පස්සේ දින 14ක කාලයක් මට සභාපති ධූරේ ඉන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් මම පැහැදිලි ප්‍රකාශයක් කරා.
I can remain as chairman of the Sabha for a period of 14 days after the second defeat of the budget. However, I made a clear statement today that I will be stepping down and handing over powers to a commissioner or secretary. I had to step down today because of political friction between 2 powerful men in the colonial electorate, namely a member of the Pradesh Sabha and an electoral organizer.
තමයි මේ මට අද සභාපති ධූරේ නිල්ලාස් වෙන තැනට පත් වුණේ.
I believe that the president cannot expect anything from them. Therefore, we voted against the budget as it does not provide any service to the people.
The Ambilipitiya Pradesh Sabha is made up of 9 ruling party members and 5 opposition members. 7 votes were cast against the budget during the second round of voting, while only 5 votes were cast in favour. The budget of the UPFA governed Madhavachya Pradesh Sabha was also defeated today. Deputy Chairman of the Pradesh Sabha, Nalin Vijayratna, stated that of the 7 individuals representing the UPFA in the Pradesh Sabha, 1 member failed to appear for the vote today, while the other 6 cast their vote against the budget. The Deputy Chairman added that both members of the UMP also cast their votes against the budget. He went on to say that UPFA members of the Pradesh Sabha opposed the budget proposed by Chairman H.A.K.C. Mendis, adding that counter-proposals were submitted by them. The 2014 budget of the Imbulpe Pradesh Sabha in Balangura was also defeated today. Chairman of the Pradesh Sabha, Indu Gunatilaka, said that while the opposition leader voted in favour of the budget, 6 members of the ruling party voted against it.
With the amendment of this act, the crisis has developed for the heads of local government institutions in the country. If there is a deputy chairman who is not in agreement with the chairman, the deputy chairman will attempt to oust the chairman. I must state that whether I am in politics or not, there is harm caused to local government institutions through such acts. We know the inside story. Nobody opposed the budget. The majority of those in the ruling party had a conflict of opinion with the chairman.
4 votes were cast in favour of the 2014 budget of the Imbulpe Pradesh Sabha, while 8 votes were cast against it. The Imbulpe Pradesh Sabha is made up of 9 ruling party members and 4 opposition party members.
Now, what is the cause of the continuous defeats of budgets at local government institutions?
Are the budgets being defeated due to the faults of the chairman? Cast your vote on www.newsfirst.lk.